Look, at this point, Dijonai Carrington should have been suspended, fined multiple times over. How many times Dijonai Carrington wants to get on her social media and want to claim that she's the victim and that she's not a dirty player. The league has rescinded fouls. Yeah, the league's rescinding flagrant fouls on you because it's run by a bunch of cowards. They're flagrant fouls. They're dirty plays. They're trashy plays. Someone's going to get very physically injured. At this point, Dijonai Carrington, forget about it. You won't beat these allegations. You won't. You will not. Of course they're rescinding the fouls. That's what this league does. Look, people can tell the difference between physical play and dirty play. And now there's a laundry list of evidence. Look, at this point, Dijonai Carrington should have been suspended, fined multiple times over.
Nobody expected the league to go this far. And certainly, no one expected Dijonai Carrington to react the way she did. The WNBA's sudden decision to ban Carrington from league play sent shockwaves across the sports world, especially considering how quickly it came after a string of incidents that had already placed her under scrutiny. The tipping point was a game that should have been just another regular season matchup. But instead, it became the flashpoint for one of the most controversial player league confrontations in recent memory. In the opening quarter, Carrington reached up and appeared to yank an opposing player's hair before dragging her to the floor. The foul, caught on multiple angles, sparked outrage online. Fans, analysts, and former players weighed in, calling the act reckless and unacceptable. The league issued a flagrant foul, but behind closed doors, officials were weighing something much bigger. By the following morning, the league office had made a rare move: an indefinite ban pending review. The announcement was concise but heavy. It referenced a pattern of dangerous play, escalating on-court behavior, and disregard for league standards. No one had seen a decision like this come down so fast, not without a lengthy review or drawn-out appeals process. The WNBA wasn't just issuing a suspension, they were drawing a line. Carrington's response was immediate and explosive. Within hours, she took to social media with a video message that began calmly but quickly shifted into a fiery defense. She called out the league for hypocrisy, alleging selective enforcement and claiming that other players had committed similar or worse acts without consequence. She insisted she was being made an example of, and that the league's leadership had bowed to public pressure. In her words, this wasn't justice, it was politics. She maintained that her playing style was physical, but not malicious, and that the league was ignoring its own culture of toughness by punishing her for being aggressive. The comments section under her post exploded. Some fans stood with her, saying the league was too reactionary and feared controversy. Others said enough was enough, that the behavior had gone too far and a message had to be sent. This wasn't Carrington's first brush with controversy. Just a few games prior, she had been involved in another heated exchange on the court, this time receiving a technical foul for a harsh shove that commentators described as avoidable. That incident came on the heels of another play that season where she appeared to strike an opponent while fighting for a rebound. In isolation, each event might have been explained away, but together, they began to build a troubling narrative, and that's what the league focused on: a pattern, a trend, a behavior that, if left unchecked, could escalate further. Behind the scenes, coaches and executives were divided. Some felt the punishment was too harsh and worried that it set a dangerous precedent. Others believed the league had no choice. With rising viewership and new fans tuning in every week, the WNBA couldn't afford to appear soft on player conduct, especially when that conduct risked serious injury. One executive, speaking anonymously, said the situation was more complex than most people realized. According to them, league officials had been monitoring Carrington's gameplay for weeks. Referees had raised concerns, players had filed quiet complaints. Some teams were hesitant to speak out publicly, but privately shared frustration. The league, they said, had been trying to handle things internally, but the latest incident forced their hand. Carrington's ban ignited debate across all sports media. Pundits asked, was this the moment the WNBA decided to get serious about on-court discipline, or was this a calculated overreach, designed to show power at the expense of fairness? Even casual fans were pulled into the conversation. Video clips from the game went viral, prompting reaction videos, panel discussions, and editorial pieces. Some praised the league's stance, saying it was about time someone took accountability seriously. Others called it performative and questioned whether Carrington was being targeted for her style, her outspokenness, or both. While Carrington's supporters rallied online, the silence from league leadership only added fuel to the fire. The commissioner released a brief statement reiterating the league's commitment to safety and integrity, but did not directly address Carrington's allegations of double standards. That silence was interpreted in many ways, either as confidence in the decision or discomfort with the growing backlash. As the days passed, the question became less about whether Carrington deserved punishment and more about what this meant for the future of the league. Would this spark a reevaluation of what's considered acceptable physical play? Would other players now be hesitant to compete with the same intensity, fearing similar consequences? For Carrington, the path forward was unclear. Her legal team hinted at potential action, suggesting that due process had not been followed. Meanwhile, Carrington continued to speak out in interviews, calling for consistency, transparency, and respect. She maintained that she loved the game, respected her peers, and never intended harm, but also said she wouldn't apologize for playing with fire. The WNBA, now caught between protecting its brand and managing a brewing player backlash, faced a challenge bigger than a single ban. It had to answer to fans, media, sponsors, and players, all watching closely to see whether this was a turning point or a misstep. Carrington's team, while quiet at first, later released a formal statement defending her character and questioning the league's motives. They cited statistics showing that Carrington's foul rate wasn't dramatically higher than other players and pointed to instances of aggressive play from other stars that went unpunished. Meanwhile, a grassroots campaign emerged among some fans calling for the ban to be lifted. Hashtags circulated, petitions launched, and videos surfaced of other controversial plays across the league as a way to point out the supposed inconsistency. Despite the support, league officials remained firm. Carrington would remain banned until further notice, pending a formal review by a panel of former coaches, referees, and legal experts. The panel's findings would be made public, they said, in the interest of transparency. But for Carrington, the damage was already done. Her reputation was under fire, her career suddenly uncertain, and her every move dissected online. The ban may have silenced her on the court, but it amplified her voice everywhere else. In the days that followed, other players began to speak up, not necessarily in defense of Carrington's actions, but in support of fairness. Several said they wanted clearer rules, more consistent discipline, and an open dialogue between players and league officials. Others said they felt the league was starting to care more about optics than about the players themselves. The longer the ban lasted, the louder the conversation became. What began as a single incident turned into a full-blown debate about identity, competition, and what kind of league the WNBA wanted to be. And at the center of it all stood Dijonai Carrington, unapologetic, defiant, and unwilling to disappear quietly. Whether she returns to the court or not, one thing is certain: the WNBA will never be the same again.